So let us get started with chapter 8, that is cell, the basic unit of life. Okay. So why cell is called the basic unit of life? Because cell is the basic structural and functional unit of life. Why I am saying structural? Because a single cell will form tissue, this will form organ, combining the organ will form the organ system, and then the whole organism. Now let us come to why it is the functional unit. Because a single cell can perform all the functions. So that is why cell is the basic structural and functional unit of life. Now who discovered cell? It was Robert Hooke who discovered cell, and he discovered actually dead cell, which is the cork cell which is present at the bark of the tree. Now there was one scientist who discovered living cell, and that was Anton von Leeuwenhoek. He discovered living cell. So actually he was going somewhere and he saw a water sample that was dirty. It was full of microorganisms, and that slide he made and observed under microscope, and he saw that it is living cell. So Robert Hooke discovered dead cell, that is the first cell, and Leeuwenhoek discovered the living cell. Okay. With this basic thing in mind, there were two scientists who gave cell theory. And cell theory is very important to understand the basics of any foundation of any organism. Okay. So cell theory, it was given by Rudolf Virchow and Schleiden and Schwann. Now what is this? Schleiden and Schwann actually told that plants and animals, Schwann told that animals are made up of cells, and Schleiden told that all plants are made up of cells. Then this scientist came, Rudolf Virchow. What he said, that it is fine that plants and animals are made up of cells, but what about the new cells? New cells, they arise from already existing cells, that is pre-existing cells, which is also called as omnis cellula cellulae. Okay, it means the same thing, that new cells, they are arising from already existing or pre-existing cells. So because he modified this cell theory, that is why this is called as modified cell theory given by Rudolf Virchow. Because one point he added, so it is called as modified cell theory. It's like this. After this, let us discuss about cells, their cell shape. If I write one term over here, or a line rather, shape of a cell determines its function. It will be correct or not, you can see in your NCERT also, page number, look at page number 127. There are variety of cells, you can see the shapes are different, like RBC is made like this, okay. Nerve cell would be something branching like this, branches are coming out of it, okay. Or a fat cell which is depositing fat, the nucleus is at the corner. So you can see different shapes because their function is different. Like what will be the function of RBC? To store hemoglobin. So its structure is in this way. Similarly, if we see about neurons or our brain cells, how it will be functioning? Signal will come and it has to transfer. So how it will be transferred? If it is a branch structure, then the transfer is more appropriate. Then come to the fat cell. Majority of the cell is storing fat and the nucleus is going at the side. Okay. So shape of a cell, we can say it is determining its function. Alright. Then coming to cell and cell organelle. Now, if suppose this is the cell and there are different compartments inside the cell. Roughly I am saying that these are the compartments. So this whole thing is the cell. These compartments are the cell organelles. Is it necessary all the organelles, all the compartments are performing function? Yes, they will perform a function. Is it necessary that they will be covered with a membrane? No, it is not necessary. So there are certain cell organelles like nucleus, endoplasmic reticulum, mitochondria, etc., which we will be studying later on. These are covered by an outer covering called as membrane. But there are two cell organelles which are not covered by any membrane. So they are membrane-less. Those are ribosomes and centrioles. These are the two cell organelles which are not covered by any type of membrane. Okay? This we have to remember because one concept we will be doing just now, that is the concept of prokaryotic cell. So this is clear. This is the cell. Inside whatever fluid is there, that is cytoplasm. Whatever compartments are performing the functions, those are cell organelles. It is not necessary that all the cell organelles will be covered by the membrane like ribosome and centriole. So let us understand first that what are prokaryotic cells and what is the difference between a prokaryotic and a eukaryotic cell. Let us split the terms. Prokaryotic cell versus eukaryotic cell. Okay? Pro means primitive, karyo means nucleus. Okay? Karyon means nucleus. Eu means advanced, karyon means nucleus. So organisms here, why we are dividing into two? Depending on their nucleus. See the importance of nucleus. If the nucleus is having primitive features, old features, means not covered by any membrane, then it is prokaryotic cell. If the nucleus is having proper membrane-bound nuclei, then it is eukaryotic cell. So see how important is nucleus. Depending on that, we are having two types of cells. Karyon means nucleus. So it is two types, prokaryotic, eukaryotic. Okay. Now, prokaryotic, the cell will, this nucleus will not be covered by membrane. Which will not be covered? Nucleus. So if this is the cell, inside this, genetic material is there, DNA. DNA is our genetic material. It is freely present. No membrane is there. So this type of nucleus in which there is no membrane freely present, it is called as nucleoid. But if we talk about eukaryotic cell, roughly again, just see, proper membrane is there, you can see, and then this genetic material is there. So this is properly a advanced nucleus, it is called. This is the major difference between a prokaryotic cell and eukaryotic cell. They are karyons, they are nuclei, freely present nucleoid, membrane bound nucleus. Now let us come to some prokaryotic cells which are smallest ones, which are known. The smallest one is PPLO or mycoplasma. Mycoplasma, children, is bacteria which is not having cell wall. It is not having any cell wall. And what is this PPLO? Pleuropneumonia-like organism. Actually, these were discovered in a diseased organism only, where disease was caused in a fluid, pleuro is fluid, and it was causing pneumonia. So that is why the name was given like PPLO. Okay. Now when we are talking of bacteria, there are different shapes of bacteria, very important. The different shapes. It can be cocci, it can be bacilli, it can be spirillum, and it can be vibrio. Okay, these are the four important shapes. Cocci is this circle type, round. Bacilli is broad shape. Spirillum is this spiral kind, and vibrio is comma shape. So sometimes when we name a bacteria, If I say it is Vibrio cholera, what shape it can be? Comma shape. If I say it is Bacillus thuringiensis, Bacillus word has come, so it is rod shape, bacilli. If I say it is Streptococcus, means it is having these round structures. It is Streptococcus cocci. Okay. Now let us see. One is the nucleoid, in which the different this thread-like structure of DNA is present. That is mainly forming the genetic material of bacteria. So it is referred to as genomic DNA. There is another type of DNA also, which is called as circular DNA, and this circular DNA is called as plasmid DNA. Sometimes we take antibiotics, but every time the same antibiotic is not prescribed to us by the doctors, because the bacteria might get resistant against a particular antibiotic. Why is that so? Because of this plasmid DNA. This plasmid DNA confers certain advantages to the bacteria. Okay. Now you can see page number 128, figure 8.2. Clearly it is showing. Please look at figure 8.2. It is showing properly nuclei. And what are the regions? Let me explain it to you. So, if this is the cell, this is the center nucleus. It is having two membranes. You can draw like this, and then leave some pores. And then we will be drawing these structures. Now, what are these structures? Firstly, let us understand what is inside this nucleus. This type of thing is there. So let us understand that this part is the outermost covering called as nuclear membrane. Inside the nucleus there is fluid, cytoplasm inside nucleus, that is called as nucleoplasm. Then this thread-like structure, it is called as DNA or chromatin material. It is having chromatin. Now we can see these sheets. Sheet is called as reticulum. It is inside the cell, endo, inside the plasma, plasm. So it is endoplasmic reticulum. So like these, many other organelles are present in the cell. Okay. Now let us see that what are the different types of bacteria depending on its outermost covering. There are two types of bacteria we characterize. One is gram-positive bacteria. Another is gram-negative bacteria. Now, what is this positive? What is this negative? Gram was a scientist who, discovered a stain. Why we need stain? Whenever we have to see any organism under a microscope, we have to color it. Then only we can see. Otherwise, we will not be able to see the contrast. So, a stain is there, which is gram stain. If the bacteria is taking up that stain, that is gram positive. If it is not taking up the stain, it is gram negative. Like a test, positive test, negative test. Similarly, if it is taking the bacteria, one bacteria is there, we make the slide, and we are able to see a particular color. Then it is gram positive. If I am not able to see a particular color, then it is gram negative. So kind of a color test, positive and negative. So why this positive negative? Depending on the cell wall composition. What is cell wall? Outermost covering. Now you will say, where is cell membrane? Actually, cell wall is covering this cell membrane. So if this is the cell membrane, this is the cell wall. And bacteria has, covering outside cell wall also. Extra coverings are there. Some slimy coverings are there. Some capsule-like coverings are there. So if it is slimy, if it is having fluid, mucilage covering, then it is called as glycocalyx. And if it is having, that capsule structure, shiny structure, this capsule. capsule, outermost cover, outer tube here. Now what is the advantage of capsule for bacteria? This capsule will help the bacteria to cause infection. So if I say there is a bacteria which is having capsule and there is a bacteria which is not having capsule, which one will cause disease? Which is having capsule, that one will cause disease. Another modification is inside the cell membrane some foldings are there like this. It is folded. These folds are called as mesosomes, and these mesosomes play a very important role in respiration, in making the cell wall, many other important functions these mesosomes are performing. The enfoldings. It will create a better surface area for different reactions to occur. Lastly, let us see that what are different locomotory organs which are present. Flagella and villi. Now what is this? Suppose this is the cell. Outer I make this one long whiplash type of structure. This is flagella, which will help this bacteria to move. So for example, I have drawn this and I have now drawn like this. Which one will move? This one, because flagella will give the movement or locomotion to this organism. Now what is villi? It is again a tube-like structure which helps in transfer. Sometimes bacteria also undergo transfer of genetic material. Suppose this is one cell and this is another cell. So transfer of genetic material is through this structure, tube-like structure. This is referred to as villi. Okay? So one more last thing we can add over here, that is ribosome, which we studied. Because ribosomes, these are not covered by any membrane. They are not having any membrane. So these will be there in the prokaryotic cell, like bacteria, because they don't have membranes. So ribosomes, they form proteins. They help in protein synthesis. Ribosomes, okay? And there can be two types. This is one ribosome. This is one ribosome. So the structure is having one large subunit and one small subunit. It is like this. We draw like this now, but actually it is having such structure. So we say it is 70S or 80S. What is this S? It is sedimentation coefficient. Means how easily ribosome will sediment if I do an experiment. Okay, I have a cell. I do experiment that I want to separate the ribosome. So I will take the test tube, I will put it in an instrument which is called centrifuge. Centrifuge will rotate this tube at very high speed. So ribosomes will settle down, the heavy part will settle down. So that is what is sedimentation. Okay, so depending on their density, there are two types, 70S and 80S. Bacteria is prokaryotic, it will have 70S. Eukaryotes will have 80S ribosomes. Clear till here? So we will cover today till here.